digest the Western Conference Finals. What's these last few days been like as you guys kind of get in the mode of trying to get yourselves prepared for what's coming ahead?
A lot of rest, to be honest with you. You know, with the layoff and the run we had coming into this, not only the last series, but the series before that was 7 games in probably 14 days or something like that. So it was a good little stretch there, and we thought the guys would benefit from 2 straight days just to be able to rejuvenate and recover, and now we're back at it today and in the next couple days.
Anything from what you've seen over the last few weeks that you feel like these next stretch of days are going to be critical for you all in terms of making strides and improving the way that you have over the course of the playoffs?
Yeah, we've had this experience now a couple times, playing week, and then the week after Memphis before Denver while we waited for that series to end. So we've had to manage these week-long blocks between series. There's obviously challenges with it, but there's a lot of benefits to it as well, and we've tried to strike the right balance of resting and getting ourselves physically ready for the upcoming series while also staying as sharp as we can, staying in as much rhythm as we can, and we've tried to learn from each time, and we'll try to do the best we can with the week.
Mark, you're obviously getting great play out of a lot of guys. Your 3 top guys have really stepped forward. I'm wondering, Chet specifically, what have you, obviously defensively he's been really good. Offensively he's been solid too. But what have you liked most just about what he's brought to the playoffs?
I think, him, certainly Jalen, Shea, this is as deep of a run as anybody's made, other than Caruso. And so these are it's more experiences, it's more opportunity to go through high-level basketball and to have to rise to the challenges of a playoff series against quality opponents under high pressure, and they've done a great job of growing through that. But that's the most exciting thing about it is less about what exactly they're doing on the court. It's really not much different from what they do. They're playing their game, but they're doing it on this stage, and every time you check those boxes and conquer those hurdles, so to speak, you get better and more confident or wiser, if you fall short. And so the experiences are what's best for all those guys.
You've, again, got a lot of guys with a lot of resiliency in their background stories of that, but with Chet having such a recent episode with the hip injury, and, I get the feeling like those on the outside probably don't even appreciate just how serious that was and what he sort of had to go through to rehab. But how do you feel like that through line, and how has that sort of affected him and maybe even trickled over into the rest of your guys?
He's done a great job of handling those situations. He always comes back stronger, certainly mentally, as a result of those. This was no different. This was a particularly tricky one because he's such a high-impact player, and we were having such a great season, despite him being out for a little while, that integrating him back in and him integrating back in was a challenge and could have tripped a wire, and it didn't. He did a great job of just blending back into the team. The team did a great job of allowing that process to take place without judgment and just let it unfold and grow over time. And we've benefited from it as a result because now we're better than we were then. As well as we were playing then, I think we're more complete now and certainly have a higher ceiling as a team now. So in terms of how we can play and the impact we can have. And so it's a credit to the work he did and the rest of the guys.
You mentioned the value of the experiences and the challenges that you guys have gone through throughout this postseason, specifically with Chet, but with the team as a whole. Have you been able to reflect on that Minnesota series and just any hurdles that you guys cleared that are encouraging to you as you move forward here?
That's a series against a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They were one of the best teams in the NBA from pretty much like March 1st on. So they were playing their highest level of basketball of the season. They have very, very good playoff depth. They go 8 strong, deep with high-impact two-end players. Their coach and coaching staff is quick to adapt, pretty bold, pretty unpredictable, He'll do anything in any situation, and it forced us to be pretty nimble. And so there were tactical challenges in that series. They really made a very strong adjustment between games 2 and 3. Game 3 was a real hurdle, in terms of just the way we performed and where that left us at the end of that game. Even though we were up 2-1, that was we got bloodied up in that game, and so that forced us to respond in a different way. And then being up 2-1 going into a game 4 on the road, and then being up 3-1 going into a game 5 at home, those are situations we haven't been in this deep in the playoffs, and having to play from ahead of a series. The previous series we had to come back and tie the series a couple different times, and so that series was really rich for us.
Mark, you mentioned sort of the length of the run and what it did for the confidence of your top 3 guys. With Jalen specifically, he's referenced the Game 7 against Denver a few times as sort of the hump that you guys had to get over. Have you seen changes in his confidence, especially since then, and maybe as a whole this run, like compared to last year versus Dallas, for him specifically?
Yeah, I think as a team, as individual players, you have to navigate these competitive waters. You have to have confidence and you have to have wisdom, and a combination of those things. You don't want to be so wise that you're overcautious. You don't want to be so confident that you're overconfident. You kind of have to hold those two things, the confidence and the urgency, or the wisdom. You have to hold those things in balance. And the experiences help you with both if you internalize the experiences the right way. And the team does a great job of that. Jalen does a great job of that. He's had some great moments that I think have given him a lot of confidence. He's also struggled at different times, which I think have been informative for him. And the thing that is his secret sauce, and hopefully the team's secret sauce, is the experiences are what they are. You do your best, and then the outcomes, happen. And then you have to learn from them, and you have to grow from them. And nobody's done a better job than him of doing that in these playoffs, or in his track record.
Yeah, you mentioned the moments where you kind of have to combine the wisdom and confidence. Like, what has Caruso done in terms of before those moments even come, just helping manage that balance?
To me, it's less about like what he says and what his experiences are, and more about he walks the walk. Like, he is just so competitively present in every single moment. He's so engaged in every single moment that if you're around him, it kind of draws you into the moment. It gets your feet on the ground, because he's not thinking about anything other than what's going on right now. Whether that's a shoot-around drill, or whether that's having a 10-point lead in the second quarter, or whether that's the other team's got the ball out of bounds with 4 on the shot clock. Like, in all those situations and the other millions of situations there could be, his feet are on the ground and he's fully present. And I think that helps everybody. There's a contagiousness to that, which is why he's just such an impactful 5-on-5 basketball player.
Anyone else for Coach? Go ahead.
Coach, obviously this has been a while for the fans that have been back to the NBA Finals. They seem to take pleasure in getting as loud as possible. As a coach, is that anything that you think you've noticed or been surprised with, this how loud they've been during this playoff season? Or as a coach, you even notice something like that?
I notice it. I mean, the fans are incredible anyways. The energy in the city is great. I've spoken many times about just the encouragement and the support and the positivity that exists in this particular market with this particular fan base, and how much that helps our players. But the actual home court, from I walk out there 3 minutes before the game, and everybody's ready to, they're in their seats, they're standing, their T-shirts are on, and then they not only help you when you're on a positive run and it's gotten unbelievably loud. They've done a great job, but there was the time in Game 5 in the third quarter when we just didn't really have our footing, and Minnesota was starting to get a little bit of confidence, and it just felt like it felt a little uneasy just with what was going on in the court. And they bring you back. They sense that that's a moment where the team needs them, and they get behind the team in those situations. You know, it's not a skepticism. It's like I said, an encouragement and a support. So I can't say enough about the home court. Can't say enough about the fans. We certainly appreciate everything they do for us, and we certainly are going to need them. You know, we have the first 2 at home here. We're going to need them again this week.
Mark, Indiana obviously still on the other side of the bracket. Paul George was a guy that was here when you all, obviously he's the reason Shea's here. What do you remember about Paul and just that whole situation? I know you weren't officially head coach at that point, but what do you remember just sort of the movement that brought Shea here and Paul's time here in Oklahoma City?
I don't really remember much about the trade. It's more, I was around training camps, and I was obviously the G League coach when Paul George was here. I mean, just the talent of that guy was ridiculous. Just the way he moved on both ends of the floor, his fluidity on offense and defense. I mean, the way that he made defense look. I mean, he's just like such a graceful athlete, you know. And I say that like with all due respect. I mean, he kind of floats in a way where he doesn't look like he's exerting a lot of effort, and yet he's covering as much ground as anybody. And he did that on offense too, you know, with the ball. And he wasn't here long, but had great years here. I mean, one of the best years of his career here, and one of the best individual seasons players had here, which is saying something, you know, here with the guys they've had. So I have a lot of respect for him, and he was the same guy every day. Good professionalism and good teammate and all that stuff.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.